What are some of the most dangerous ways you think technology can be utilized in military warfare?
Some of the ways it's already being used, right? So you have this company, Palantir. And Palantir was that thing in Lord of the Rings that was like the all-seeing eye, right? And they've been around for a minute now, but they just went public a couple of years ago, so people are just now paying attention to them. But in the military, when you're trying to figure out how to manipulate people's perception, it's called CYOP. Psychological operations is the job. And they do what's called an information operation, which is where first you have to go map out the information environment. So let's say you're a soldier in Afghanistan and there's a particular province like Helmand province that is, you're trying to figure out how to manipulate what the people think there, right? Because it's a contested area. They're not positive towards the U.S. They're not negative towards the Taliban. So you want to go in there and try to sway them one way or the other. First thing on the information operation you have to do is go map out the information environment, which entails everything from the physical reality to the social networks to who's an influential voice. So back in the day, that would be like, oh, what radio station are they listening to? What times are they listening to it most? Who's the most popular kid at the high school? So we could go pay him, or who's the imam in the community that has more political sway, even if they're not the main one. And so you would do this stuff manually. And then from there, you could plan out, your targeted mission operation. I forget what they called it. It's been years. But they called it your targeted information campaign. So then you'd figure out what you want them to say, and then you'd pick the channels you wanted to distribute it through. So I know that these high school students listen to the radio between 8 and 10 p.m. And so therefore, I'm going to go and I'm going to pay the radio station to run this message that's propaganda to them on the same day that earlier in the afternoon, the most popular high school kid going to say something about it. And then the next day, they're going to go and then a mom is going to preach a message about it.
Yeah.
And then we're going to see how their perception changes. So that's how they would map it out. And it was all manual. So there's lots of room for error, lots of room for humans that were on the other end of that campaign to be able to protect themselves. Like if you're not telling people who you cool with, you're not making your pattern so obvious, it's harder to be manipulated. But now it's all data driven. When you log into these social media companies and you like somebody's picture, you're creating what they call a graph. They call it a graph network in the technology. What that does is maps you to who's important to you, who matters to you, who's relevant to you, what you like, what you don't like. And then with platforms like Meta, if you link certain third-party apps that give their data to Meta, they can get a much bigger picture about you. So there's a very popular app for women to track their menstrual cycle. It's called Flow. And they give all their data to Facebook. So now, not only do I know that you like these people's pictures, this who you interact with more, but now I can see what you do during different phases of your cycle. When you on your cycle, right before your cycle, or you go look at your ex's page right before, and I know it's your ex because you done told me your relationship status and tagged them in it. So now all of that data is automated. What websites you go visit, and then you link up your Apple Watch and your health app, and they know when you sleep and know when you wake.
Yeah.
Now they could try that to all your other behaviors. And then you link that to your journal app where you telling them how you feel every day. And now they see it even more. And then you log in with your Google or with your Meta to all these other websites that are now automatically collecting all that data about you and creating a graph about you that understands you better than you do. So much so that Amazon has patented algorithms that can predict if you're going to buy an item or not. And so now we go back to Palantir, the all-seeing eye, which was originally created as a private company to kind of help with that information targeting process. They wanted to make it easier so you don't have to go on the ground, undercover and go talk to people to figure stuff out. We can just figure it out with data. And they're huge. And I think they just won another $180 million contract either yesterday or today. And so what they're doing constantly is they're basically scraping or making copies of the whole internet. They're making copies of all these documents. They're making it so that all these intelligence officers can upload their reports, and they're, they be spying on people. And this is what this meant. And they go have a diplomatic meeting and they write in their notes. All that stuff goes in there and creates an even more detailed graph about you. And the purpose of that is so that the military will say is to identify threats or to improve operational efficiency. What that means is, are you someone we need to be worried about?
Mm-hmm.
And if so, we already know everything about you to know how to change what you feel. That's dangerous to me. And all we're doing as individual individual humans in the world is participating in these digital platforms because they turn into real social currency. So if I don't have an Instagram, I'm gonna get looked at like I don't have an iPhone when I text somebody, right? Those things translate to real social benefits. So in order to participate in our society in a way where we have access to be able to come up or to be able to have additional streams of income, it requires that we participate in these platforms. So we really can't opt out. I mean, technically you can, but socially you really can't. And so now we're subject to being monitored and assessed in these ways. And the military's baby cousin, police forces, are using the same technology in ways that are absurd.